Hello and welcome to this Getting Started video series. This series is designed to help you get started on your recovery journey. Today we're going to be talking about step 8. So let's look at step 8 together right now. Step 8 says we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. There's that willing word again. This step does require willingness, but it's kind of a moving in a new direction from where we have been. So far in steps 1 through 3, we were actively working to move into a restored relationship with God, learning how to actually live at peace with God. And then from that, we moved in steps 4, 5, 6, and 7 into a restored relationship with ourselves, doing business with our past, doing business with our choices and the things that we've been through, taking responsibility for them, confessing them. And now here we are. We're starting this journey of looking outside of ourselves to restore our relationships with those people outside of us. So in step 8, willingness is a key theme. Because at this point, you're not actually making any amends with anyone, but you are becoming willing to. And the list that you're making has actually already been made in step 4. So here you're going to go back to your list of those people who you've wronged, and you're going to use that list to create your step 8 list of people that you need to make amends to. This list is actually fairly simple because you've already made it. You're identifying the people that you've wronged, how you've wronged them, and the impact of that wrong. This is all in preparation for step 9. Now, one thing I want to point out that I think is really important about the willingness to get ready to make amends is forgiveness. Now, you don't actually see the word forgiveness show up in this step, but it is an important part of it because it's very hard to become willing to approach other people and ask for their forgiveness when you have people that you're harboring resentment and unforgiveness towards. So one of the ways that we start to do business and get willing to follow God in this step is to actually look at places in our own heart where we're holding things against other people. It's very hard to walk into an amends meeting when you know that you're unwilling to forgive other people and yet you want people to forgive you. So doing business at the heart level between you and God and being willing to forgive those people who've wronged you is an important part of getting ready for step 9. A lot of people have a problem, and one of the obstacles that holds them back is they feel that forgiving somebody is letting them off the hook, when in reality, it's actually taking yourself off of the hook. When you forgive somebody, you're not minimizing what they've done. You're not justifying what they've done. You're saying, I am no longer going to stand in a position of judgment over you and hold this against you, because the reason and the motivation for our forgiveness is because we have been forgiven. God has forgiven us through Jesus, and it is through Jesus that he asks us to become willing to forgive those people around us. There is a story in the Bible, a parable, that talks about an unmerciful servant who has this massive debt to his king, and the king decides to forgive it. The servant is overjoyed because there's no way that he could ever have paid this debt back. But when he leaves, he runs into another servant who owes him a much less amount of money. And instead of doing what he just received and forgiving that debt, he holds it against the man and has him thrown in jail. Well, this doesn't go well for him because the king finds out about what he's done and actually ends up bringing him back in and ultimately punishing him because he was unwilling to forgive the way that he had been forgiven. And this story is an illustration for us. We can look at it and be like, that's obvious. Why wouldn't you do that as you had just received that yourself? But when we apply it to ourselves, it's oftentimes much harder. So my encouragement to you is to remind you that you're not alone. Forgiveness is hard. And it's not a one-time thing. You can choose to forgive somebody, but you actually have to walk in forgiveness every day. It's a perspective shift as well, that we choose to enter into our day from a position of saying, God, thank you for your forgiveness in my life and for not holding my sins against me, and help me to enter into this day doing the same for those around me. And so that's what I want to encourage you with. This step can be powerful. It can also be freeing. But it does take willingness and it does take courage. And that's exactly what you're gonna need as we head into step 9.